The Cheltenham Festival is the main event of the year for horse racing. The festival is a 4-day event with 7 super high quality races on each of them, and with that comes opportunity for us punters to make lots and lots of money off all of the different bookmakers. Now what you could do on the first day of Cheltenham is load up the Bet365 app on your mobile phone or the William Hill app on your phone or whatever sportsbook that you use to place your bets with. Stick ITV on the television and start placing your bets on things such as form lines, maybe like a jockey trainer combination or something like that, or perhaps you're going to play it safe and bet on all the short price favourites. But the problem is, and don't tell the bookmakers, this is a little bit of a secret, but the bookmakers are always continually short pricing you on every single one of their markets. So in essence, you could be the smartest person in the world when it comes to horse racing, have a vast knowledge of everything to do with horse racing, but still not make any money betting on it with a bookmaker, because effectively you're being shortchanged and short priced from the bookmaker itself. And over the long term, unfortunately, the maths just does not work out for the punter. So make no mistake about it, whether you're using Ladbrokes, Coral, William Hill, Bet365, Sky Bet, they all work in exactly the same way. They're all actively short pricing you, and they only differ by the branding logo and the colour scheme on their applications and their websites and stuff like that. But fundamentally, bookmakers are all offering out short prices which don't represent value. So if you do want to make profits from your betting, specifically at the Cheltenham Festival, where the opportunity to do just that is absolutely at its largest, may I present to you matched betting. So a lot of my viewers, of course, will already know exactly what match betting is, and quite a lot of them will have made a lot of money already from match betting. So in this video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk to you about the 4 techniques that I'll be using within the match betting umbrella at the Cheltenham Festival, which will hopefully make me a good few £1,000s of profit. Just take a look at this example here. This was the 16:10 on the Thursday at Cheltenham in 2022, where you can see I have guaranteed a huge profit, as you can see here. And the best part is I already knew I was going to lock in a large amount of money way before this race even started. It was just going to be a matter of how much that was going to be. And in this particular example, you can see I absolutely struck gold. All right, guys, so I've just jumped over to my computer screen and I'm going to be showing you the top 4 things I'm going to be predominantly doing at the Cheltenham Festival to lock in some huge profits from my match betting. Now, this is the match betting provider that I use to do my match betting. I've always used these guys since the beginning. They're called OddsMonkey. In my opinion, they have the best tools and the best match betting software and all that kind of stuff that you do need to make good money from match betting. And if you do want to check it out, there's a free trial down below in the description. Once again, they are a good product and I do recommend them and I do use them on a regular basis. So the first thing that I'm going to be doing at the Cheltenham Festival is taking advantage of extra places. Now, there is a really good extra place match betting strategy that you can use, and I've got loads of YouTube videos which explain exactly how you can do that, but I'll just surmise what I'll be doing in this video. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click Tools up here in the banner, click on Matcher Tools, and then I'll click on the Extra Place Matcher, which is this one right here. Now what this does, this brings up the Extra Place Matcher on OddsMonkey's website. So you can see you can filter it by different races which contain extra places. So if there's a race that doesn't have any extra places on it, it won't be contained within this drop down box here. You can change things such as your default stake that you want to use on your each way bets. There's a rating thing there as well. You can choose which bookmakers you have from this drop down box here. You can choose which exchanges you want to use from this drop down here, and the place lay exchange bets there as well. So the way the extra place strategy works is you can see we have runners listed along this bet column here. So we've got McTavish, What You Were In, Gillen, Samaritan, Joe Cotton, and the list goes on throughout the race. We then have the back prices for each of the runners in this column, and then we have the exchanges win lay prices here and the exchanges place lay prices here. Now, if this is the first time you're looking at match betting software like this and each way extra place software like this, it'll probably look a bit confusing. There might be a few too many numbers on the screen for you, but it's not that confusing once you get used to it. And if I'll just basically explain how this strategy works. So obviously I'm pretty sure you're going to know what an each way bet is. You place a bet with a bookmaker, you select each way, effectively you double down your stake, Part 1 is on the horse to win the race, so the traditional part of the bet. Part 2 is for the horse to land in a runner-up position, which is specified by the bookmaker. That runner-up position also counts as first as well, so you get the double whammy if the horse wins, and you get the place position on the win as well. So basically everybody knows what that is, but with match betting, what you can do is you can counteract any risk that you're taking on if your bet doesn't win. So you can back the runner each way with the bookmaker, winning each way with the bookmaker. You can then lay the runner to win on the exchange. So you're betting on the runner to not win on the exchange, and you can lay the runner to not place on the exchange as well. So if you're betting on the runner to win and landing in each way position with a bookmaker, but you're betting on the runner to not win by laying it on the exchange, and you're betting on the runner to not place by laying it on the exchange, you would think you would cover all outcomes and you wouldn't win and lose anything. But because there are extra places involved, so sometimes you'll get 1, 2, it can even be as high as 4, places like Cheltenham. If the horse lands in that extra place or extra places, if there are more than 1, you'll actually make the profit in that example. And the goal for us as match bettors is to have as close to a free bet in those extra places as we possibly can. So if our horse lands in one of those each way positions, which are covered by the bookmaker on their platform, but they're not covered in the standard markets on the exchange, that's where we hit a big profit. That's just surmising it. I've got loads of other videos on my channel which go over it in much more detail. If you do want to get started using this strategy, I've got loads of videos, like I said, and have a browse on my channel and you'll find them pretty easily. But if I show you an example here, let's say if we were to get on this one here, what you wearing, this is the second run here. Let's say we wanted to use a £50 each way stake. I'm not saying you do want to use £50, maybe you'll use more, maybe you'll use less. But for this example, we use a 50 quid stake. So I've put 50 into that box there. You can see this runner's back price is 7.5 and its lay price over here is 8.2. So what I'll do is I'll just make that 7.5 for simplicity. And you can see this runner's place price is 2.3. I'll make this runner's place price 2.3 on the exchange. And because I've set all the commissions to 0% for this example to make it simple, you can see this would be a perfect position for us. And we know that by looking at these two boxes here, we can see our loss, our potential loss is 0, 0, 0. We're not going to be risking any of our money in this setup because all of the prices are the same, but our potential profit if the horse lands in the 4th place in the race would be 115 quid. So in this particular example that I've just made up, and it's a little bit far-fetched, it's never this perfect, you can see we would have 115 quid free bet on the horse landing in the 4th position. So just to expand and articulate that a little bit more, what we'd do is we'd back 50 quid each way at odds of 7.5. We'd then jump over the exchange and we'd lay 50 quid at odds of 7.5 over there. And then we'd go to the place market on the exchange and we'd lay 50 quid at odds of 2.3. And because we've covered all of the places that we've got with a bookmaker on the exchange using the same amount of money at the same prices, that gives us a break-even position, except we have a little trick up our sleeve where if the horse in this case finishes in the 4th position, we've actually got that extra potential profit there from the bookmaker and the each way extra place that they're offering, and that is where the profit comes from with this strategy. This is a little bit of a cheesy example. You're never going to get anything which is a 100% match where you're taking on no risk whatsoever. It might look a little bit less enticing. You know, it might look a little bit more like this at the Cheltenham Festival, where the prices wouldn't quite be the same between the bookmaker and the exchange, and you might be taking on a few quid of risk for a big profit if the horse lands in an extra place position. Again, I'm sorry if I'm not being super articulate explaining this. We'd be here for a long period of time if I was to do that, but there are loads of videos on my channel, so I'll stress it again. If you are interested in it, check out those videos on my channel. They're free, they're easy to understand, and they will, you know, go over this in more detail. Like I said, this is just a breeze over within this video to show you exactly all the things that I'll be doing, but this is a really good strategy to use, and I've made a lot of money in the past at previous Cheltenham festivals from using extra places and this each way strategy that I've just showed you. Next thing I want to talk about is each way Dutching. Now I touched on this a little bit earlier before we jumped over to the computer screen where I made that big £1,000 plus profit, I believe it was. And this is my favourite each way strategy. Now as the name would suggest, it's a Dutching strategy, and Dutching is basically another word for back every runner in the race for a targeted profit, effectively. So that's what I've done with this example that I'll show you here. You can see this was from Cheltenham in 2022, I believe, so the same year that I made that other profit which I just showed you. And you can see in this race I actually made a profit of £258 from this race. I think this Dutch took me about an hour. So basically I made about 260 quid an hour. It might have took me a bit less, it might have took me a bit more, but you get the picture. And you can see these are the profits that I could have made. So the minimum profit I could have made in this example was £46.75, whereas the maximum profit I could have locked in was about 827 quid. Now in this case I actually made 258 quid, which was a nice return on my investment. It was almost 10%, which is very, very good. And you can see all I did in this race is backed every single horse with a bookmaker each way. Now I didn't need to bother about laying any of the horses off on the exchange or laying the place markets off on the exchange or any of that confusing stuff that you potentially may think, which I showed you in the first example on the extra place each way strategy. All I did is back every horse with the bookmaker winning each way. Now because the bookmaker was actually overbroke within the place market, so in other words they got too greedy, they'd offered out too many places, and it'd give, the margin had slipped from the bookmaker's side to the punter's side in the place market. There was opportunity there, and that edge on the place market for the punter was overriding the bookmaker's edge in the win market. So basically, in a nutshell, if you backed every horse to win with the bookmaker, you'd lose money because the bookmaker has the edge. Of course, that's how they make money. They offer out rubbish prices below the true price. That all compounds together. You back every horse to win in a race, you'll always lose money. But in this example, the bookmaker had gone too far with all their extra places. You can see they'd offered out 8 instead of 4. And they were trying to be as competitive as possible with their overround. In other words, making their prices as enticing as possible to compete with other bookmakers. These two things come together, they created the perfect storm. They give me a risk-free position on this race. And basically all you have to do once the race concludes is pop in each of the runners into this box here. And once you've done that, that tells you how much profit you've made from the market. Now I've actually made a more refined version of this spreadsheet which is more simple to use, and it actually gives you the exact stakes you need to use to make this strategy work. If you use this one, you're going to have to be figuring out the stakes, and it can be a little bit of a pain in the ass, to be honest with you. Looks pretty similar to the other one. I've made it a little bit cleaner, a little bit easier to look at, but basically this will tell you the exact stakes that you need to use on each of the runners to back winning each way with the bookmaker or various bookmakers accounts, whichever you're going to go with. And it'll very quickly tell you your position before you do it. So you can see in this case, your lowest profit would be minus 50 quid, or your highest profit would be 200 quid. So if you do want my spreadsheet and you want to use it, you can just go over to my Patreon page. I've got the link in the video description along with the OddsMonkey free trial link. Click on the link and you can see I upload the spreadsheet each month. You can come on here, click download, put it on your computer, and you're ready to go. And once again, that will tell you each stake that you should use at a specific price for the runner, and it will tell you your lowest profit, your highest profit. It'll make it super simple if you are going to go down the route of doing some each way Dutching. Okay, so if we flip back over to OddsMonkey, I'll go over to the home page here. Next thing I want to talk to you about is good old-fashioned free bet offers. So I'm going to click here, it says sports reload offers, and there are loads of free bets in here. And you can see at the top it says you have 81 offers worth over 70 quid or thereabouts in the next 7 days. At Cheltenham that's going to be much, much higher. You'll probably be able to make at least 70 quid a day, if not even more than that on each of the days at Cheltenham. So very much worth doing, and these are super simple, bread and butter, A to B match betting, and they're super simple. I explain it right now how they work. Everybody knows what a free bet is. Bookmaker gives you a free shot at making some money on a bet. If it loses, no harm done. If it wins, you get some cash into your account. So yeah, you can just work your way through this list, making a profit each step of the way. But you'll notice a lot of these, and you'll get these via email as well when you start match betting, there'll be things like, bet 10 quid, get a £20 free bet, or, bet 20 quid, get a £50 free bet, and all those kind of variations in between. But the kicker is, and obviously the point that people might not like, is where you have to bet a certain amount of money to qualify for that free bet in the first place. So of course that would come with risk, and match betting is all about taking that risk away as much as humanly possible. So what you can do as a match better, if I click up here, and we'll go to calculators, use the standard calculator here. Instead of taking on risk with your opening position to qualify for that free bet, what you can do, let's say they're saying, we want you to bet 20 quid to unlock a 50 quid free bet. You'd stick 20 quid into the backstake box, and you would back, let's say, odds of evens, which in match betting, in decimals, is 2.0, obviously 1-to-1 in fractions. And then after that, what you would do is you would jump over to the betting exchange and you would lay the same outcome, ideally at the same price, at odds of 2, which again, is evens 1-to-1. So for example, you might back Manchester United to win a football match with a bookmaker for 20 quid to unlock that £50 free bet later on. But then you'll jump over to the betting exchange, Smarkets or Betfair, and you would lay Manchester United to win. So in other words, bet against them to win. So in other words, again, lose or draw on the betting exchange. So you can see what's happened. You bet on them to win with one website. You bet on them to not win on the other website, which accounts for the draw. And this would be sort of the outlook you would have. If you back bet with a bookmaker wins, as you're betting 20 quid at odds of 2, your profit would be 20 quid. 20 times 2 is obviously 40, minus your stake is 20 quid profit, but you would lose your £20 stake on the exchange because you had laid Manchester United over there. So obviously you can do the maths, plus £20 minus £20 equals a grand total of 0. Alternatively, the flip side could happen. The exchange lay bet could win and you would lose your £20 back bet with a bookmaker because you bet on Manchester United to win. Man United haven't won. Therefore, you're 20 quid down on the bookmaker. You've won 20 quid with the exchange. And again, you do the maths. Minus 20 quid, plus 20 quid. Grand total of 0. So ultimately, it's no win, no loss. Now, you're probably asking, well, what is the point? You go through all that effort, which to be honest isn't that much effort. You could do that in 30 seconds, if not less, when you become competent at match betting. But why do that? And the reason we do it is because we're after that free bet lurking around in the background, because all the bookmaker knows from their side is we've bet 20 quid at odds of evens on Man United, we've met their minimum odds criteria, we've qualified for that free bet. Once that bet gets settled, we'll have the free bet in our account. We haven't lost any money, we haven't risked any money. We've effectively got a free bet with a bookmaker without paying a penny for it, which is obviously very good. Now what you would do at that point, we'll just refresh this calculator. You then have the option to punt your free bet if you want to do that, but again, you're risking making money. There's no risk that you'll lose money, but you're not guaranteed to make money. So if you do want to guarantee that you'll make money, and the match betting approach and the way I recommend you do it is to basically switch your calculator over here to free bet, stake not return, because stakes not return with free bets, as many people will know. Stick your free bet amount in, let's say it's 50 quid. Stick in the back price that you're putting your free bet on. Let's say it's 4-to-1, so it's 5. Stick in the lay price, which is available on the exchange on the opposing side, so 5. And you can see this is the outcome we would have. So if we back Arsenal for 50 quid at odds of 5 with a bookmaker, we lay Arsenal on the exchange, also at odds of 5. This is the outcome we would have. You can see if the bookmaker's back bet wins, we'd have a £200 profit. Now obviously 50 times 5 is £250, but as it's stake not return, we don't get the stake in that. But because the back bet has won, Arsenal's won with a bookmaker, our bet's up there, we'd obviously lose on the exchange and we'd be down 160 quid on that side of the equation because our lay bet has lost. And again, you can do the maths. If you make 200 quid on one website, but you lose 160 quid on the next website, the difference between the two is going to be what you pocket and take away, which is obviously 40 quid. On the flip side of things, let's say the exchange lay bet wins, so your free bet with a bookmaker ends up losing, Arsenal blow the win, and you don't win with a bookmaker. you can see you would have 0 win and 0 loss with a bookmaker because it's free money on that side of the equation, and that's where the advantage effectively comes from. Whereas on the exchange, because Arsenal didn't win, which accounts for obviously losing or drawing, you'd win 40 quid over on that bet there, and of course 0 plus 40 equals 40, and that's the profit you would have on that side of the equation. And effectively, you can see it doesn't matter what Arsenal do, whether they win, lose, draw, you've made the profit regardless. People might argue it takes away from the fun of, you know, the rush of gambling or whatever, but I'd rather have money locked in my back pocket and beat these greedy bookmakers for all they're worth. But, you know, maybe you don't agree, maybe you do. That's just my perspective on bookmakers and how they try and rip people off. I want to have their pants down as well. But I digress, and we'll move on to the next thing that I will be doing. And once again, guys, if you do want to get your hands on OddsMonkey for free, check it out, see if it's for you. That link, that free trial link, is down below in the description of this video for you. But anyway, we're back onto the home page. But the next thing I'll be doing is price boost. So I'm going to click up here. This will bring up the forum of OddsMonkey. I'm going to type in price boost no chat here. Click this link here, and that'll bring up the price boost thread. You can see they've got some rules in there, like don't chat and annoy everybody within this thread. This thread is specifically for people posting price boosts, which they've found on bookmakers' websites. So just to quickly express what a price boost is, if you don't already know, I'm pretty sure most people will know, it's where the bookmaker temporarily boosts the back price of a selection on their website from one point to another to try and entice more people to bet on it, usually for a short period of time. So for example, they might have Man United to win and both teams to score, was odds are free, we've now boosted it to odds of 5. That is basically what a price boost is. It could be other things like Chelsea was odds of evens, we'll now give you 2 to 1 for 10 minutes only and stuff like that. There's different derivatives of the same name, they call them odds boosts and price boosts, and there's a few other things I've seen them called over the years. They're all the same thing basically. They're trying to get people to bet on that outcome. And basically what OddsMonkey members do is they post them into this thread here. So you can see we've got Paddy Power, I'm guessing that's Jared Bowen, to score, odds of 3.5. And with SM, which stands for Smarkets, which is a betting exchange, odds of 3.4. And you can see on this next one here, Coral FA Cup, Aldershot to score in both halves, was 6 to 1. No 7.5, so it's 6.5 to 1. And on Smarkets, it's 7. And basically, as you go through this, you'll find that all the bookmakers' prices have been boosted higher than the lay prices that are available on the betting exchange. And if you back at a higher price than you lay at, you'll net the profit in between the two. It's a pretty simple arbitrage technique. You know, it's as basic as it can be, really. It's like the classic financial market example. You buy a stock all the way down at the bottom in the hopes of selling off all the way up at the top. With a betting exchange and with bookmakers and all that, if you back at a higher price than you lay at, you'll make a profit between the spread of the two odds. And obviously, a lot of this is football and a bit of darts and stuff in there. But when it comes around to Cheltenham, there'll be loads and loads of horse racing stuff on here. And the good thing is, the great thing is, at Cheltenham, the limits on these price boosts are normally really large. So generally, you know, little things like this, with Charleston, 1 or more shots on target, they'll have like a £20 max stake. You won't be able to get that much money through on them. And there might not be that much money available in obscure markets like that on Smarkets as well. But at Cheltenham, everybody's betting on it, and the bookmakers will allow you to bet more money. So they might allow you to bet, you know, up to 200 quid. I've had it in the past where I've been able to get like 200 quid on with Betfred on a really significant herb and then lay it off at a shorter price on the exchange. And I net, you know, it was at least 10, 15 quid of profit. I can't remember exactly what it was. But these opportunities do come up every single year from a price boost perspective. And the way it works, I'll just show you quickly if we get our calculator back up. Standard calculator. Let's say the bookmaker is allowing us to bet 200 quid on a price boost. Let's say they've boosted Horse A to win the race. Horse A's price initially was 2 to 1, so it was odds of 3.0. Now it's boosted to 3 to 1, So 4.0, let's put 4 in there. But the exchange's lay prices remain as they were. So let's say 3.2. And you can see, because of that discrepancy in odds, because of the bookmakers price boost, and because in this theoretical example, they're allowing us to get on with about 200 quid, or up to 200 quid rather, you can see we could make £50 out of this price boost there and then without taking on any risk. And that just simply occurs because the back price is now higher with the bookmaker than the lay price that's available on the exchange. And basically the larger the discrepancy between the back and the lay price, and the more money that you're allowed to use on your bets, the larger the profit will be. And in this example, this is obviously a very, very good example. I'm not saying you're going to be able to get this anymore. I have had things like this before a few years ago, particularly with Betfred. But you know, things like this do pop up. An option you can take with price boost as well is to click on the mode box in the calculator, click on advanced, and you can see here you can actually have a completely free bet on the boosted outcome. And to do that, you would actually underlay the price boost, and you would use a slightly different stake. And the way it all works out is you would actually gain a free bet on the boosted outcome. And you can see if the boosted outcome wins in this, again, theoretical example, we'd make 160 quid. Whereas if it doesn't win and the exchange lay bet wins on the other side of the equation, we'd win and lose nothing. But you have the option to underlay. You can also overlay as well, by the way, which is just the opposite. You're laying slightly more than what you would do on standard. But a really cool feature that you can also do is the custom lay here. So you can move this scroller, and can you see these boxes here where it says bookmaker bet win and exchange lay win? They change depending on how you scroll, like this. If we pull it the other way, you can basically choose. So let's say you wanted to win 100 quid if the horse wins with a bookmaker. We can see we could leave it there. And of course that would equal a 27 quid profit if the horse doesn't win with a bookmaker. So yeah, those are pretty much the 4 major things that I'll be doing from a match betting perspective at the Cheltenham Festival. There's loads of stuff you can be doing. Most of it is available on OddsMonkey. I've also got my spreadsheet available on my Patreon page as well. Both the link for the OddsMonkey free trial and the Patreon each way Dutching spreadsheet are available within the description box of this video. So feel free to check them out. And yeah, basically I just want to say, have a good time with Cheltenham, guys. It's been really, really kind to me over the last few years. From a match betting perspective, I've locked in thousands and thousands of pounds of profit, and I see no reason why you can't do exactly the same. But yeah, with that being said, guys, I've got a video up on screen now. Check it out. It's match betting related and you might find it pretty interesting. And yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.